Hi, and welcome back to Becoming a Biblical Trophy Wife. I wanted to take a little bit of time and talk with you about carnivore and what brought us to this place of doing carnivore. I hope you can't hear those cicadas. I bet you can, though. They are loud today. They're in that tree right there. They're just hanging out. But anyway, so it really started back in 2018 or 2019. I was just at my wit's end with my weight. I could not get it off, and so we were told about a particular diet plan that I went to a meeting and learned about this diet, and I got on it, and I did really, really well. Basically, I ate protein. I got special food from the store, and like their store that they had, not the grocery store. And it was very expensive. And I had to get weighed every week, and I had to do BMI every week. It had to be greatly monitored, okay? And I was allowed to eat, as far as vegetables, lettuce, celery, cucumber, some peppers, and every once in a while tomatoes. But very, very low carb, high protein diet. And that worked. I got down to 140 pounds and I looked really good, but I still kind of lacked a lot of energy and just didn't always feel my best. And so I stopped doing that diet. Well, what ended up happening, the reason I actually stopped, is that I kept having these reactions to the foods, especially certain ones. Even when we thought we had cut out what I was having a reaction to, the reaction would come back. So we did discover throughout that whole process, I am highly sensitive to soy, which was in every single one of those, apple, which was in a few of them, and so soy, apple, anything in the apple family. And I'm sensitive also to wheat and barley, which is used in some weight loss things as well. So I had to stay away from a lot of things, and it just made things really hard, and the weight came back on. And by the time 2023 rolled around, I was already back up into the 200s. I was 220 pounds when this journey began. And we had tried everything. We slowed down what we were eating. We, ate smaller portions. We didn't go out as much. We cooked everything at home. Nothing was helping. We were doing the S.A.D diet, okay? And it's the perfect acronym, S.A.D, because it stands for Standard American Diet, which is basically you have a protein, a carb, a starch, and a vegetable, right? So your starch and carb could be the same thing. It really didn't matter, like potato steak and potatoes, okay, with a vegetable on the side, basically is what it was. And it just was not doing it. We even tried to limit sugars and everything, because the diet that I had been on before was a zero sugar diet. So I was already used to not having any sugar and didn't really eat it all that often. Little did I know that starch and carbohydrates in your body metabolize into sugar. So if you're eating a lot of starch and a lot of carbs, you're actually metabolizing that down into sugars. So we just decided, okay, well, let's do another diet for a while. So we tried, I don't remember what it was called, maybe it was Mediterranean, something close to that. We just really tried to do low carb and mostly protein, but even that wasn't helping. I still kept gaining weight, and it was just impossible for the weight to come off. So my brother actually contacted me. We were talking, and he said, well, sis, I've been doing this diet for a while, and it's working for me. And my shoulder, he had a rotator cuff injury. It wasn't torn or anything. It was injured, and his shoulder healed. So he was able to heal himself essentially with the carnivore diet. So he introduced us to carnivore. He said all he eats is a ribeye steak every day, or a flat iron, or whatever kind of steak he wanted that day. He would eat a steak every day, eggs every day, and that's all he would eat. And he wouldn't eat anything else. He had lost weight, he'd gained more muscle, he was more toned, and his shoulder healed itself. And he was just eating ground beef too. And so, you know, my husband and I both were very skeptical at first of pretty much any diet that anybody tells us about, because of the experiences that we've had with fad diets and even the doctor prescribed diet, and you know, the fact that it was not sustainable unless I was buying that specialized food that I couldn't eat anymore because I was sensitive to it. So it was just really difficult and just hard to manage. And so when we heard about carnivore, we thought, okay, well, let's see. You know, I heard about it first, obviously, through my brother. So before I approached my husband, I did a little bit of research. I started watching some YouTube videos of doctors. Okay, I went out and I found doctors that talk about carnivore diet, and started watching their videos. I also found a couple of people that had similar experiences to me and started following them and watching their videos. And I think probably about 2 weeks into watching those things and researching it for myself, I decided to go ahead and send a video of Dr. Barry to my husband. And I said, hey, so my brother told me about this diet and I've been researching it for a couple weeks now. And it actually sounds sustainable and like something that I could do. I put it on myself. I said that I could do. And my husband watched the video that I sent him and he said, you know, that sounds pretty good. I think we should look into that. And so we started. We finished up what was in our house that we had already had because we didn't want to waste any food. Finished up what was in our house, gave away what we couldn't possibly eat or make, and went out and we bought a big slab of ribeye. We bought some ground beef. We bought eggs by 5 dozen, and just started eating that way. And the way we did it is that we went cold turkey. We just cold turkeyed it and got everything we needed and went full on carnivore. We even had the kids watch the videos with us, and our children went carnivore with us. Now, that's not to say they don't eat any vegetables. They do. They get vegetables once in a while, whenever they want it. And we obviously give them what they want. So they're very, very healthy. Okay, our kids lost so much weight and they gained a lot of height. Actually, my son had his growth spurt, his biggest growth spurt after we went carnivore. And he's still, kid just gets taller every time I see him. I swear, he goes to bed and he's taller. But that's kind of where it all began. So once we got onto carnivore, my husband actually, you men, you guys lose weight so fast. It's just unbelievable how quickly you lose weight. It just melted off of my husband in a matter of months. Me, it took a little bit longer. And I was losing, but by December, I was still in like 198. And we were trying to figure out what we could do. And then we heard Dr. Barry talking about OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, and fasting. So I had done intermittent fasting already, and I was kind of doing that, just having lunch and dinner every day, but decided maybe that wasn't enough. So I started going to OMAD. And once I started going to OMAD, I started to lose a little bit quicker. And so I basically ate, once I went OMAD, I had 2 eggs for dinner, 3 slices of bacon, and like 4 to 6 ounce steak for my meal. And that was all that I would have. And I lost between December and probably March, a good 30 to 40 pounds. And then I kind of tapered off. And so we added back in a little bit more fat to my diet by way of broth. And I had the broth around lunchtime. Sometimes I would stick more to my window. Most of the time, actually, I stick more to my window, which is between 4 and 7 is my eating window. And so I would have the broth during those times, and I started losing again. So now here we are in the end of May, and I went from 220 pounds, or well, about 198 in December, right, to now I am 156. I still have a little bit of ways to go, so we're still kind of playing around with the carnivore diet a little bit to help me kick those last 10 to 15 pounds. And then once I reach that goal, I will be in maintenance phase. So my goal is 130 because I really want to give myself 10 pounds of wiggle room, between 130 and 140, so that I can do maintenance and maybe be able to eat a little bit more or go out to lunch with my coworkers, things like that. Because right now I don't do any of that. If I do go out to lunch, I have a glass of water. Sometimes I might even have lemon in the water, just throw a little lemon juice in there. But I don't make a habit of doing that, just because it's not comfortable to be sitting there and just drinking water while everybody else is eating. So I just opt to stay home for right now, or to stay at the office. So I do go to the office twice a week, and that's usually when the lunches are occurring. But the carnivore journey has probably been, and we've been doing this now for 2 years. So we started this in 2023, about this same time frame. So it's right around 2 years now. I'm still in the losing phase. And from all the videos that I watch these are some of the people that I watch. Okay, I watch Dr. Ken Berry, Nisha Berry, his wife, Dr. Anthony Chafee. I like him. Dr. Weissman is a pretty good one to watch as well. He's more of a do what works for you kind of doctor, but he does not down on any diet, really. He just does reaction videos and makes sure that the facts are out there, that there's facts. Sorry, the camera is starting to pick up on my glasses because it's getting dark outside. Who else do I watch? Oh, My Zero Carb Life is Kelly Hogan, and I also watch Steak and Butter Gal, which is Bella, and I don't know her last name, Bella. And they are all so good. I also watch Homestead How. So they do a lot of carnivore videos, but they also do homesteading videos. So if that's something you're into and you would rather kind of ease in watching that, then you should do that. Like if you're curious about carnivore at all. But pretty much that's how we got where we are. And there have been some ups and downs with it. So I will tell you that in the first 3 months for me, I felt really good most of the time, but then I would have crazy bouts of like diarrhea and would have to run to the restroom. But that only happened, I don't know, for the first 3 months, really. After that, my body was used to it and I was totally fine. My husband has IBS-D, and he didn't really have too many issues. He said also maybe the first few weeks his body had to adjust a little bit, but after that he said he was completely fine. And he's since then, in the last 2 years, he's only had 2 attacks of his IBS or IBS-D. So I call that a win for my husband, because before, when we were doing the S.A.D diet, I mean, how sad, right? He had almost an attack every week, like once a week or sometimes even twice a week, or it would just last the whole week. So it was just unpleasant. And then other effects, other effects is my skin actually has a lot more, I feel like I look younger than I did 3 years ago. It's just the collagen in my skin has really come back and kind of made my skin bounce back a little bit. And same with my husband, we're aging backwards. And then another good side effect has obviously been the weight loss, and just feeling great all around. I mean, part of my journey was that made us do this is that my brother said his shoulder was healing, and I was struggling. I could barely get out of bed. I actually had been to a rheumatologist because we thought I had rheumatoid arthritis at one point, or lupus, or something that we thought there was some autoimmune. And we still think there is some kind of autoimmune issue going on, but I haven't had any attacks of it. And the only time I do have attacks is if I have sugar or too many carbs in a day. So I limit my carbs to about 20 carbs per day for that reason, because my plantar fasciitis, I was seeing a foot doctor too, and I had 2 boots. Okay, I had to wear boots. I had to wear them to bed. It was just miserable, you guys. I could not get up. I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk. I would fall out of bed in the morning because I was in so much pain. It was just horrible. This was literally make it or break it. We had to make a change. And this was the change that changed our lives, truly. And so that's why I started this channel, and that's why I really wanted to share this part of my journey of becoming a biblical trophy wife, is because a lot of that, it's not about being a trophy on a shelf. It's not about being good for somebody else to look at. It's not about that. It's being the jewel in my husband's crown. It is being his crown, and a crown is beautiful, and a crown is strong. And when selecting the name for this page, those are things I had to consider. And so for those of you that were turned off by the name Biblical Trophy Wife, I do apologize that you're turned off by it, but it doesn't mean what you think it does. This is truly meant for women who want to become closer to God, closer to their husband, or become that woman who is still seeking a husband that will be the crown for her husband. So my goal is really just to speak to all people, but mainly women, about how our role in biblical womanhood can make us and help us be the trophy for our husband. Hang on, I gotta get a drink. I need more of this drink right here. So I made myself a little creatine drink because I work out every day as well. Part of this carnivore journey, when we discovered I was stalling, we discovered that I really needed to incorporate workouts into my routine. And I needed to work on my physical strength, my mental strength, my spiritual strength. We just needed to work on all of the strengths. And that is my goal with this channel, is that we will work on all of these strengths together, encourage one another, help each other when we're having a bad day. Because, bad days happen. I will tell you, I've fallen on my face more times than I can count, but I get back up, I get back on it, and I just say, you know what, yesterday was a bad day, today's a brand new day, and I'm not going to fail today. I am going to keep pressing forward. And when you do fail, or when you do fall, the important thing is you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you say, you know what, yesterday was a bad day, today's not going to be a bad day. I got this. With God, all things are possible, and He will help me get through it. And when you're feeling tempted, or when you're feeling down, go to God in prayer, because God is your help. He will pull you through any issue that you are having, any mental barrier that you are experiencing. So that is really my journey in a nutshell. I mean, I say in a nutshell, but here we are 20 minutes in. So, any questions that you have, anything that you want to know about carnivore, if you want to know what we eat, I will be posting some videos of recipes or things that I'm going to cook. I'll do full videos of I'm making this and I'm just bringing you along with me, and then I will post the recipe obviously in the comments. So you saw I bought that carnivore shake stuff. I'm going to be making a carnivore ice cream out of that. So, well, it's going to be more ketovore. Okay, so there are some levels to carnivore, and we'll get into that another time. But for Father's Day and for my husband's birthday, we're going to be going ketovore, which is meat-based, incorporating a few vegetables that we can tolerate, because there's only a few, and I can no longer tolerate any fruit. So there is no fruit in my house unless my children are going to eat it. But that is all I have for you for right now. I just want to remind you that you are beautiful. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. You are amazing. This world needs you. God loves you. And don't forget to be a prize, because ladies, that is exactly what we are. We are the crown and we are the prize. So don't forget to be a prize. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you again soon. Bye.